Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Will. Thank you very much. Your main worry seems to gain and preserve the wider spectrum of possibilities for you. How did you develop this cultural approach to your profession?
I don't think I developed it, you know, and I think it exists everywhere. It's just depends on who becomes interested or who has the time to sort of pursue different possible things, and who gets tired of the redundant patterns and the schedules and routines and all the kind of boring presentations that exist, especially in Europe and America. It's just who's tired, who gets bored, and who has time to find interests. But it's certainly nothing very developed. It's just a product of kind of not accepting certain things as the way it should be.
On the other hand, from the outside, you are a sort of master of ceremonies or explorer, able to introduce your fans to new musical worlds. Have you ever thought about this aspect of your musical career? I mean, the fact of putting under a new focus the music you work with, or to revive or to develop interest in particular music and cultures. I mean, have you ever thought about the fact that you revive this kind of interest in other people?
Well, again, it's you know, with enough experience and kind of the opportunity or the proximity of finding things that are made available to you, you keep looking, you find new things. It involves a lot of traveling, it involves a lot of sort of sacrifice, it involves the rejection of other kind of standard forms and routine. I don't know if it influences people, but I would certainly hope that it reminds them that you don't have to do everything exactly the way you're told, or what people say is the great thing, or this is how it's done.
Let's talk about the project you are going to present in 2014, Mito Settembre Musica. Let's say all the new friends, a peculiar aspect of African musical culture. Which kind of project is it?
This project? Well, it's kind of two sides to it, and one focus is musicians of Jujuka, which is Rift Mountains, Morocco, North Africa. It's a kind of Sufi brotherhood that's with a very long tradition. It's very isolated from other Moroccan sort of styles and genres, if you call it, and tradition. It's got really no exact connection with any other music from that territory. The world knows about Jujuka not so much because they played crazy music in a village, but they know them more from Brian Jones, who went there and recorded them. They know them by their association with Brian Geisen, Paul Bowles, a little bit William Burroughs. And I think we all heard about Jujuka from that aspect, not, you know, being a fan of world music and you go down the list and here's Jujuka. It wasn't that at all. In fact, in that area of North Africa, probably every village has its own unique music. This particular village got lucky because of Brian Geisen.
Music is able to grow as a language among other possibilities, finding and creating links between different experiences, but this is also a way to grant a better communication between cultures. Do you recognize a cultural, social and political role to music?
Well, I suppose if you look at this, if you step back and look at this thing, you would say this is a cultural event. But in sort of hoping it would happen and maybe putting it together, you're not necessarily thinking I'm making a cultural statement. It's more to do with sound. And as far as language, you know, we're working with people that don't speak English. So that's a fundamental. And as far as, that's the first thing, they don't speak. And then the other is we play very different music. So that the kind of the hope is that somewhere it connects. And that's a kind of magical challenge. It's not a technical challenge or an academic challenge or a music challenge. It has to do more with the moment.
And spanning from the 80s and different talk contexts, your career is facing different themes and moods, different zeitgeist, like the German people say. But now, are there now more or less possibility to express yourself than in the past?
No, there's always more possibility to do everything, no matter what they say. Because if they say there isn't, they're just not paying attention. There's no vision. So, what do you see?
Are there more interesting musical scenes in the world, in your opinion? And which are those? I'd like to exploit somehow your experience.
I don't know much about scenes. That's usually something that's generated by journalists and people get together. Everybody liking something, and it creates kind of a buzz. And I don't know much about scenes. I don't know that much. I mean, you can make things. You can make events. You can try to do things. Sometimes you need the approval of someone. A lot of times that has to do with ratings.
You had the chance to work for a movie soundtrack. It happened for Gabriele Salvatore's Nirvana. You worked with movie soundtrack also. But anyhow,
Yeah,
yes, it was. But
a long time ago.
yes, a long time ago. How does your work and your experience are in that particular field? Your music linked with movies. Which kind of experience you had in this field?
Well, it's a kind of protected field, it's a kind of, that's a scene. You have to know people, and people have to want to sort of help you for whatever reason. And then there's that other thing where you're very nice. You have to be very nice to people. And you have to congratulate them, you have to, how do you say it? Always give praise to them. You have to do that consistently. And most of all, you have to lie. And if you're a good liar and a nice guy, and you have some time, then you can get in this thing and you could probably do a lot of movie soundtracks. They'll all be bad, of course. But you could do that.
You pass from overworked and arranged musical production to no rehearsals, improvising live acts. Well, like this one.
Okay, so
Bill, what is the real excitement in overproducing, overworking in a record production, or in a quite alive, free music act? Where is the real excitement to you? On both, or?
yeah, of course, I think so. I mean, it depends on what you call exciting.
Yeah.
Interviews are pretty exciting.
They can be, and they can be full of all kinds of random sounds.
Let's say it's a live recording.
Well, this is Italy, so this is
Yes.
this is my tribute to F.T. Marinetti.
Just the last question. Which are the guidelines of your musical career now? That means which are your current main projects that we are able to follow in the future?
Well, first of all, there's no guidelines, because there's no guide and there's no lines. So that's not a possibility, or a question or an answer. So that doesn't exist. It may exist if you follow some kind of manual that says this, you go here and then you go here, and then you go to college and you get married, you have a kid, and you retire in Miami, something like that. That would be guideline oriented.
And race goats.
And have 100 goats, no more, no less. And they are lured to you by the sound of the Rift Mountains, the Jujuka musician, who have mastered the art of bringing goats to cities, modern cities.
Well, let's talk about your agenda at least.
That's a pretty good.